Hi everyone, I thought I'd do a blog video today instead of my normal blog posts. It's about the Belle cardigan top that I'm crocheting. I blogged about it on the 14th of April when I told you about the gauge swatches that I made and how I found that gauge is very important in finding the substitute yarn, and that's why I'm using Garn Studios Drops Cotton Viscose instead of the Rowan suggested yarn. The top that I'm working on is this one. Hope you can see it. From the Rowan Holiday Crochet pattern book. You can see it's made up of a central panel, and then it's actually quite boxy, but it's as I'm working on the pattern I'm realizing it's because it's just made up basically of squares and rectangles that you put together. So when I was looking at this pattern on Ravelry, I saw there was a lady who's struggled putting this together, so much so that she emailed Rowan and asked him for advice. And when they eventually explained to her what she needed to do, she said that it's a very easy pattern, and I totally agree. It's when you get your head around what they want you to do, it's really straightforward and there's no shaping involved. Apart from the sleeves, and the sleeves are short sleeved, so that even then it's not a lot of shaping, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. But I'm going to adjust my pattern a little bit to compensate for it not having any shaping, but I'll get to that later. But what I wanted to tell you is basically how to put this together in case you're doing it as well. And you can probably use this method to do any other type of crochet top if you find it works for you. So what you have to do is you make two central panels. This is the central panel. For now you'll just have to ignore what I've done here because I'm further than what I'm explaining to you now. You start at your bottom with your foundation chain, and it's got to be 11 centimeters wide, this central panel. And that's where the gauge swatches come in. So you've got to make sure that it's 11 centimeters wide. You follow the instructions for the lacy pattern, working your way up as you would. Cast off, and that's the back of your the back central panel done. Then do the same thing for the front. Foundation chain, working your way up like that. Then the second part is where you're working on the left. For both, you start working on the left, so you're going to add this to the left of the panel. So make sure that you remember where the foundation chain. I know it sounds stupid to say remember where your foundation chain is, but if you're looking at this panel, it is possible to kind of forget what's the top and what's the bottom. So after you've done your second central panel, you don't need to cast off your yarn. You start at that corner again, and now you'll be adding 89 single crochet for American, or double crochet British. The book is British crochet terms, so they'll call it a double crochet. American it's single crochet. You add 89 stitches, evenly spaced. It's very important that they are evenly spaced. Starting at the top of your central panel where you would have cast off, working your way along the side back to the foundation chain. I found that by doing it 3 stitches, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, it kind of spaced it evenly. If you hold it up, you can see that there's a part where it's quite big, and then the 2, 2, and then that one can go 3 again, 2, 2, 3, and that makes it evenly spaced 89 stitches. So when you've got back to your foundation chain again, now you've added your stitches, you start working in the pattern row, and this is what the pattern row looks like. It's just a row of double crochet, British double crochet, American single crochet, and then it's the 2 trebles, 1 chain, 2 trebles, 1 chain, and that row of single or double, British double, and the longer with the space, that's the pattern row. And you've got to keep doing this for 5.5 centimeters. That's what the instructions say. So when you've done your 5.5 centimeters, you cast off, And then you take your front panel and you look for, remember this is the one where you would have totally cast off your stitches when you did, that would be the first one that you did. Then you just find the point again where you ended. Oh, see, this is upside down. This one. And do the same 89 stitches back along the side or the edge towards the foundation chain, do 5.5 centimeters. And then at the 5.5 centimeters mark, you would start working your way back up the side again. That would be in the 2 trebles 1 chain until you reach the end of your, oh my goodness, I'm confused, where you reach the end of your section, and then you just join the next one onto your hook. So when it'll be this one. You would have ended there with your treble, you chain 1, and then the next treble you make in the top of the other panel, and this becomes your neckline. If I do this, you'll understand what I'm. So this is what you create. I'm just finding the back central panel. Yes. So 5.5 centimeters in, you join the 2, the front and the back, and you keep on going for 23 centimeters this way, from the front bottom over your shoulder to the back and up again. So there's no shoulder seam, and the place where you join the front and the back becomes the end of your neckline, and that's exactly what I needed to change on mine. Put this back. 5.5 centimeters was about there, and I thought that would make a neckline that's a bit too constricting. If it wasn't for the fact that this is straight, it would have been fine. But this is a V-neck. Joining my back, front and my back at that point would have been fine. But this is a straight line, and I thought, ugh. So I added another 4 centimeters before I did my front and back sections, the join for the front and back. So I basically undid my big row that joined the 2, added 4 centimeters to this panel, added 4 centimeters to the back panel, and then did the join. They also say that I've got to keep going, measured from this towards the end for 23 centimeters, and then you cast off. That's the left side of your body done. But because it's so straight, I think I might make it a little bit less wide. Maybe thinking 20 centimeters, but I'll let you know in my blog whether I do that, and if I do, with how many centimeters I made it narrower. Then when you've finished your front and your back thing together, this whole body part you cast off, that's done. And then to shape the arms, you count, I think they say 39 stitches in from the bottom, and you start, you join your yarn, and you do a couple of stitches and you end there. So it'll be roughly this kind of thing where you work over your shoulder in straight lines, so that your arms will go in the same kind of way that you've done the body, but with 39 stitches missing on that you don't use. And then you do the whole thing for the right hand side again, and then you start adding the panels for the bottom and the sleeves. As you can see, those bits and those bits still need to be done. So you're basically doing that, and then you're going all the way up like that with no armhole shaping, no separate sleeve that has to go into an armhole shape, and you end there, and it's a very straightforward basic idea actually, and I think it can be easily adjusted if you customize. Instead of using their central panel pattern, you can go onto My Pico or any website, but My Pico has a list of free patterns that they call open work and lace, and I've used 2 or 3 of them for infinity scarves. If you just make sure your central panel is 11 centimeters, I guess you can use any lacy design. You can even, instead of using one color, make your central panel, your cuffs, your hemline a different color to the body.